And just what were the Secret Service agents who were actually inside the president's limousine doing at the time of the shooting?
Agents Bill Greer and Roy Kellerman were pivotal to the success of the assassination, and they were pivotal to the success of the assassination through inaction. Bill Greer was the driver of the president's limousine in Dallas. Roy Kellerman was riding right beside him. Greer hits the gas pedal, Kennedy lives. First shot rings out. Bill Greer looks back at the president. His foot's on the brake too because the car slows down. It's only going 11.2 miles an hour. It's crawling at this point. And then Roy Kellerman says, "Get out of line, we've been hit." That's when Bill Greer turns around a second time and is staring at Kennedy and doesn't do anything until Kennedy is killed. Yes, it was only 6 to 8 seconds, depending on estimates, but that is a lifetime for a Secret Service agent. Count down 6 to 8 seconds and watch the video of Reagan being shot. These men, by the time the 8-second shot, they're well out of there. Let alone 2, 3, 5 seconds. Amazing what they did. And Roy Kellerman, for his part, doesn't jump. He doesn't jump back, and he's turned around. He's staring at Kennedy too.
À l'approche de Bethesda, les rues de Washington sont noires de monde. Au loin, les lumières de la Maison-Blanche rappellent à Jackie qu'ils y sont restés 1036 jours. Aujourd'hui est le dernier. Il est 19 h quand Jackie arrive à Bethesda. Elle n'en sortira que 8 heures plus tard. Il est 2 h du matin. Cela fait plus de 4 heures que l'autopsie a commencé. Jackie est agitée, malgré plusieurs injections de calmants. À 2 h 45 du matin, l'autopsie est terminée. On demande à Clint Hill de reconnaître le corps. Clint ne reconnaît pas son président dans ce visage outrageusement maquillé, mais il accepte les conclusions des légistes. Le corps embaumé est placé dans un nouveau cercueil. À 3 h 56, le cortège quitte Bethesda. Les automobilistes de Washington, debout à cette heure inhabituelle, se sont formés en cortège derrière l'ambulance, pare-choc contre pare-choc. En raison de l'heure tardive, on a eu du mal à trouver un détachement pour rendre les honneurs. On a intégré à la garde de jeunes soldats des forces spéciales, une unité d'élite qui vénérait son président. Lorsqu'on a voulu éloigner les nombreux curieux qui attendaient derrière les grilles, Jackie supplie Clint Hill. « Ne chassez pas ces gens, Monsieur Hill. Je veux que l'on voie ce qu'on lui a fait. » William Greer, le chauffeur, et Clint Hill étaient partis 2 jours avant avec le président jeune et actif qu'ils étaient chargés de protéger. Et il le ramenait, allongé dans son cercueil. Tous deux se sentent responsables. L'un de ne pas avoir accéléré plus vite, l'autre de ne pas être arrivé à temps.
Question number 9. Did your father have any survivors guilt over the assassination of JFK? For example, Mrs. Kennedy played the scene over and over in her mind, etc. To the best of my knowledge, my father had absolutely no survivor's guilt. I believe he figured that events were kind of out of their control. It was pretty common knowledge that a person riding in an open automobile was subject to a bullet at any time. There was really not much you could do if somebody indeed wanted to give up their life in the line of assassinating the president. He only did remark several times that he felt that one thing did kind of bother him about events that did unfold in Dallas. I believe earlier that morning when they left Fort Worth, Texas, heading to Dallas, that it was raining or drizzling or about to rain. And there was some discussion amongst the agents and the White House staff as to whether or not the president would need the hard Lexan bubble top type covering over the limousine when they got to Dallas. And they were going to make their mind up whenever they arrived, to the best of my knowledge, depending upon the weather. But sad to say that when they did arrive at Dallas, it was not raining. The decision was made, and I don't know by whom, not to put the bubble top on. President Kennedy always enjoyed riding in an open vehicle, and they certainly would comply with the president's wishes, and he would indeed choose to ride in the vehicle if weather permitted. And as it was not raining, the bubble top was not used. I think he thought perhaps had it been raining that day, that with the bubble top on, it might have shielded the assassin's view perhaps of the president, or it may have possibly deflected a shot, and the president might have been alive today. As far as survivor's guilt goes, I think that is the only thing that my father ever really gave a second thought to. Everything else, I believe, that transpired after the assassination was the best that could have been achieved by the Secret Service and all people involved. Question number 10. About suspects in a conspiracy theory with the recent spotlight on the Secret Service in general, and your father in particular. Several books mention that he turned around twice with his foot on the brakes and did not respond to Agent Kellerman's order to get out of line, we've been hit. I do remember vividly my father's recollection of the exact instant that he was aware that something did indeed transpire and things were not going as planned. He did remark that he did indeed hear what he thought were 2 shots, and at the time, though, he did not call them shots or didn't think they were shots. The sound seemed to come from the right rear of the automobile, and it was kind of common, being in many parades, especially with motorcycle escorts as they had, that motorcycles would indeed backfire. And my father's first reaction to the first sound was that it was a motorcycle backfire. He heard the sound a second time, just seconds afterwards, and he did indeed glance into the rearview mirror, and to the best of my knowledge, my father reported that he did indeed see blood on Governor Connolly's shirt. He glanced over his shoulder at that time, saw that the governor was indeed hit and slouching down in the seat. To the best of my recollection, he did not see anything of the president, who was sitting further back in the limousine. Pretty much at the same time, Agent Kellerman did indeed say that they needed to get out of line. They had been hit, and my father stepped on the accelerator to the best of my knowledge, and they were headed off to Parkland Hospital.
Tonight we dip back into our archives as we remember the Tonight we dip back into our archives as we remember the Tonight we dip back into our archives as we remember the
An unforgettable moment for everyone, especially for Bill Greer, who I interviewed in 1983.
When I was in the front seat, I was driving him when he was shot.
That's right, he was the Secret Service agent behind the wheel. The first shot he thought was a backfire. The second?
And I looked over my shoulder like this, and I saw the blood running down Governor Connolly's white shirt, and then I knew it was trouble.
The fatal shot rang out just as he hit the gas. Minutes later, he was in the operating room as doctors tried to save Kennedy, but nothing could be done.
I got real shook up about it.
He stayed in the Secret Service just a couple more years before retiring to Waynesville. Nightmares of Dallas to blame.
I think that's what gave me ulcers.
He died 2 years after this interview. We still have the old tapes, the old films of...
Memories of 1963 come back to life for so many Americans today. The assassination of President John F. Kennedy shocked and some think changed the world.
News 13's John Lee gives us a local tie to that tragedy.
Did a little research on just who this character was.
At the place where those who pass rest in peace. One grave at Green Hill Cemetery in Waynesville is a reminder of America's turmoil, where folks like Steve Fogg find it fascinating that
we have a little bit of the JFK assassination story right here in our backyard.
William Greer was a World War II veteran, eventually working with the Secret Service.
Driving JFK in Dallas 50 years ago.
A life journey that merged with a devastating death.
President Kennedy died at 1 p.m. Central Standard Time.
Greer retired and eventually moved to Waynesville. Glenn Stewart says he heard stories of Greer playing golf at the country club.
You know, I was surprised to find out about that, and so that led to an interest in finding out where he's buried over here in Waynesville.
Glenn was told he rarely spoke of that assassination.
When it was brought up that he was pretty, closed-mouthed about it, he didn't want anybody to he didn't want to cause any more controversy, I'm sure.
We spoke to JFK expert Vince Palamara via Skype.
There's a lot of people that, rightly so in my opinion, believe that he is responsible indirectly for the assassination, because again, the Secret Service agents are trained. If he hits the gas and obeys an order of the agent in charge and sitting next to him, history would have been different.
The author of Survivor's Guilt interviewed Greer's son about his late father, concluding that the Secret Service agent was tormented for years.
He had a lot of guilt about what happened in Dallas, because whether or not you believe Oswald acted alone or not, if his dad would have hit the gas, President Kennedy would be alive today.
Greer died of cancer in 1985, but speculation and conspiracy theories live on.
There's been a lot of controversy, and there's even some theory that he was involved in the killing.
Theories that Palamara says bothered the family.
His son was pretty forthcoming about his dad. He kind of wavered back and forth. I think his son, frankly, wasn't too thrilled about the notion out there that people thought that maybe he had something to do with it as far as if he would have hit the gas and so forth, but I can kind of read between the lines. I can tell it was something that definitely bothered his father, judging by how defensive his son was about it.
In 5 decades after that turbulent and tragic chapter, many replay the horror in their minds.
And my thought is, this is going to go on forever, to the end of time.
Imagining what people like Bill Greer took to their grave.
I'm sure it haunted him, being where he was when he was.
In Waynesville, John Lee, News 13.